I kind of want to open up today by saying, like, I want to give credit to the players. I know we're early in training camp right now, but I wanted this to get out there. Not sure if anybody was going to ask me this, but these guys have bought in 110% to the culture that we as a defensive staff have brought here this spring. We talked about relentless effort, finishing on the ball, trying to force some more negative plays, turnovers, things like that. And these guys have been all in. I know we're only 3 practices in, but I think the effort, the finish has been absolutely outstanding.
It's designed for offensive success, right?
Yep.
And I think there was a 7-on-7 drill Monday where you guys pretty much dominated the drill as a defense. Just where are you at with your secondary and your linebacker group, your back 7? You're really comfortable with where they are kind of to start camp? I know there's a lot of work still to be done, but it seems like they're maybe a little bit ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I believe that's the strength of not only the defense, but that's one of the deepest spots on the team when you talk about our secondary in the corner position. And that's going to be a luxury to us this season as far as moving people around, being able to create different matchups that we want to dictate, not what the offense is trying to dictate. And these guys are growing. Terrion Arnold took a huge leap, in my opinion, this offseason. He progressed during his rookie year, but he's come in not only this offseason, but this training camp looking like a different guy. His body's more developed, but also from the neck up, the mental aspect of the game. He's seeing it faster. He's feeling the routes faster. So that's a guy I've already seen a leap in, and I've been anxiously looking forward to Rakestraw getting back out there because he's a guy in the spring that you saw taking that next step as well. But with guys like DJ Reed and Meek Robinson leading that crew, showing them how to work, showing them how it's done, I think we're headed in the right direction for sure.
Kelvin, Dan said on the radio that this is Jack Campbell's defense. With Alex dealing with a lingering hamstring issue, how have you seen Jack deal and take ownership of the defense?
I think you look back late last year when Alex ran into the forearm issue and the injury that he sustained at the back end of the year. I think you started to see it there. Jack's a big physical presence in the huddle and on the field, and guys feel him. And I think he started to take over that level of accountability this spring with Alex being out away with his family or whatnot, dealing with his deal. I think you saw Jack step forward. And, you know, I've had the honor of coaching Jack since he was drafted. So Jack's a player out of everybody. He's never had any other voice in his head. He knows what I'm thinking. We're in lockstep with one another, and we spend a lot of time together, quite frankly. And I wanted to open up that healthy kind of door of communication, let them know this is your system, because you have to give ownership to the players out there, just like coaches on the coaching staff have to give ownership to their coaches. So guys feel like we're all in this together. When you're just barking, preaching, do this, do that at someone, that stuff gets old after a while. You know, you have to give people a pedestal to go out and make it their own, and he's done that, and he's taking accountability.
As we watched, Shep was third down, so maybe it kind of lent itself to it, but a ton of blitzes. I mean, we just saw your guys coming from every angle imaginable and pressuring the QBs. We know AG blitzed a lot. What is your kind of just philosophy of blitzing? What do you how much do you feel that's important to what you're about?
It's very important. We're going to be aggressive. I think guys that's been around here since I came here know I'm an aggressive guy. My mentality is to get after you, play in and play out, but also you got to be calculated. It has to be a why behind it, but more importantly, the players have to understand the whys behind it, why I'm asking them to do certain things. We got to make it all look the same. Pre-snap looks versus post-snap reads and things like that. And like I said, these guys have bought in, so the more they can handle, the more we'll do.
I'm curious about your first 6 months on the job as DC. I mean, something you've been groomed for the last couple of years, and sort of the next step in your coaching climb, I guess. What is the reality versus what you maybe thought it would be? The goods, the bads, whatever, everything that you've dealt with so far.
I want to give credit to Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn because it's exactly what I thought it would be, and I'm humbly saying that. I don't feel overwhelmed. I got asked by somebody close to me yesterday, do you feel any overwhelmed? Do you feel discomfort? I've never felt that, and that's a blessing to be able to say that in my first year and my first 6 months of doing this, and I credit my staff for that. When you look down the row of my staff, it's everybody from guys that's been around me 20 years and was my roommate in college. That's August Mangin, Caleb Collins, I coach with at LSU, work close with, to guys that's coached me, Dave Correa, Casey Rogers, to guys I've watched while I was playing, Jim O'Neal, Deshae Townsend. So it's not like it's a rookie staff by any means. 2 guys on my staff are former coordinators. These guys, and it's an open floor. It's not, and I told the players the other day in the defensive unit meeting, this isn't my stuff I'm saying. This is our stuff. So I'm not ever going to stand up here and say like I'm some genius guru and I invented football. I allow my staff to have ownership in their respective positions. I allow input from everyone from top to bottom. And if there's a why behind it, it's going in. And these guys know that. So I think that allows them to work harder. The trust is there. There's no looking over your shoulder. I don't have to go in position rooms and wonder what's being said. I know it's one voice. And when you have that level of comfortability within your staff, I'm able to do more of my coordinator stuff versus looking over people's shoulders. So I just want to give a lot of credit to my staff.
Somebody like Aaron Glenn, obviously there's going to be questions. People are going to be wondering, can you continue that? But what, from your perspective, what can fans expect from your unit, this year? What type of football do you think they should be playing this year?
We should be playing at a high level. And for me to say anything else is unacceptable, and my players know that. It's a standard here that's been set before, and we're raising that bar. We want to play at a high level on defense. Now, I told the room my first kind of speech to them, I'm not setting any goals, expectations, or any of that stuff. I know the makeup of the room, and I truly believe if we attack every day and if we improve, but you got to be on a race to improve. You can't just be cliche in coach speak. A race to improve every day. I think we can turn into a dominant unit, but it's a lot of things in between now and when you get to that September point that we have to progress. It's development, it's learning curves, and everybody's on a different arc of the curve. You got guys like Aidan Hutchinson has been in this thing, and I told him, he's trying to put himself in position to have an all-pro year. Then you have a guy like Ahmed, who I'm extremely excited about, but he's just trying to figure out what's the A, B, and C gap. So it's different guys on the curve, and us as coaches, it's our job to meet those guys exactly where they at and make sure everybody's at that bar where the Aidens, where the Brian Branches, and all these guys are expected to be.
Yesterday, raising the standard, you've kind of mentioned giving the players ownership. How much easier is that to do this year, maybe as opposed to in years past when some of those guys were a little bit younger, hadn't played as much football?
I wouldn't say it's never easy, because when you do that, it has to be a level of trust there. And before you can have a level of trust, it has to be a level of honesty. I tell these guys my 3 pillars: honesty, trust, accountability. Can't have one without the other. And I think it starts with being honest, having open dialogue within the room. And that's not calling people out to pick on somebody or somebody laugh or make fun of. It's a learning environment. It's healthy when you're honest, open. Everybody can walk in their own shoes, be exactly who they are, and you see growth and development. And I'll repeat this, not only with players, with coaches. And I'm seeing that. And once I see that as a coach, that's when that door opens and you start to give freedom. You start to give leeway. Whether they mess up or not, you have the open door there so they feel comfortable to go do it. Then you can correct it after the fact.
Last offseason, Nate Lamb kind of showed some things early in that training camp in that first preseason game, then the injury obviously hit. You see him out there kind of flashing again, winning some of his passion. What do you maybe have in him as a young player?
Tremendous athlete, a lot of tools, a lot of gifts. Our front office did a tremendous job a year ago going out and finding him. He's a phenomenal player, a local kid from Detroit. He didn't play college here, but he's from here, so he knows the city. He's built for the city. But it's about going out and doing it. You can flash. That's a word you use, and it's something I told him outright front. You flashed a lot, but I'm not looking for flash. I'm looking for consistency, down in and down out. You got to earn the right to be able to flash those pass rushes. And how do you do that? By first, second down, setting hard edges, showing me you could play big in the run game, and then affording yourself those situations where he could go and flash. Because he has juice, and he definitely has athleticism, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in live action this preseason.
Let's talk about Ahmed. Has
Yep.
he started to meet some of the developmental milestones you're looking for early in camp? And then what excites you about seeing him this preseason?
Absolutely. I'm excited for him to get the pass on, because I don't think his game could be seen into the passer on. With the way he plays, the mentality he plays with, the effort he plays with, he's everything we're about here. Like I said, it's just that development piece, the learning curve. That's why I don't want people to start saying, is he the answer? And guys, this guy's a rookie. He just started playing football 6 years ago. He just learned the freaking English language 6-7 years ago. So let's not turn this guy into Lawrence Taylor or something like that. This is a rookie. He's on a developmental swing, but he's been afforded the opportunity to work with one of the best, if not the best in the league, in my opinion, in Casey Rogers. And I'm already seeing it. I saw it in the spring, but that guy's all in. Whatever his potential is, Ahmed will reach it because he's going to work at it that way.
In what ways have you
seen Sean grow up in leading that linebacker room and how the players will respond to him?
Oh, that's been the hardest thing for me is to not step in during individual and all. But again, Sean Dion Hamilton, I'll repeat this, first thing first, he is a freaking genius. When I coached him as a player, he knew every spot. He literally reminds me of myself, and I say that all the time, and it's no cliche, it's nothing, but it's like I'm watching myself all over again. Like when I coached him as a player, I'm like, you should coach. You know, it's hard for you to get to that outside zone. Now, come on over here on my side. And, you know, he took that advice, and, I mean, he's running with it. He's off to a fast start. The room respects him. You know, early in spring, he's like, Shep, it's weird. These guys saying yes, sir, and no, sir. I'm like, it's because they respect you. Like, that's not because they think you're old. You're their peer. He's younger than some of the room. But that's because it's a level of respect there, and it's the way he works. It's the way he grinds. The guys have seen him in the locker room as a peer, and now they see him in an authoritative figure. And, I mean, it's tremendous. I'm looking forward to the growth. Just like the players, there's going to be growing pains with myself. There's going to be growing pains with Ham, but there's nobody else I would rather have as my linebacker coach.
Lastly, Carlos and Jeremy, what have you seen from him so far? And I think everybody expects him to just be, you know, the Hutch of old right away. Is he there yet, or is there going to be a little bit of time for him to find his footing and be, you know, the elite player we've seen him be before?
Listen, I'm not saying anything about numbers, statistics, or any of that, but I see a better player than we had last year. And you might be like, whoa, like that's the same thing I said when I saw him out there. I'm like, whoa. But if you know Hutch, which all of you do, and the way he works, the way he attacked his rehab, a week after the surgery, he's in here trying to work out and things like that. It's no surprise. Now it's just about going out in live action, getting those hits, taking those blows, building that mental piece back to where it's not watch out for this and that moments in live action. And you can only build that through training camp with the pads on, live reps when we do have that setting here. The joint practices will be really good for Hutch going against a foreign opponent where you don't kind of know and it's not as controlled and things like that. But I see a better player, quite frankly, and I'm looking for Hutch to have a big season, and he's one of the pillars of the defense.
We've heard a couple players mention it, and we certainly noticed in practice an emphasis on punching the ball out, attacking the football. Just kind of curious, was there a moment in self-scout this past year where you noticed that was something you need to improve upon?
Yeah, like I said, you guys know I've been here for 4 years, so I've seen it. And, I mean, I was one of those position coaches yelling at my room. We need to get the ball back. And when you turn on the tape this spring in the self-scout, some guys stuck out. Amik, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell. But I told the defense, guys shouldn't stick out. It should be the opposite. You should be an anomaly if you're not touching the ball, if you're not finishing on the ball. I call it biting the football every play. That guy should stick out. It shouldn't be 3 guys sticking out because they're finishing on the ball. So that kind of has been the mindset. And, again, that's why I wanted to start the pressure, because I'm nothing without the players. Like, you say what you want. I can have all these fancy ideas, yada, yada, yada. I'm nothing without those guys. And those guys got to believe in me just like I have to believe in them. And it's clear to me on tape that those guys believe in what I'm saying. They believe in what we're doing. And, I mean, it's phenomenal. The first 3 days of practice, like I said, Spielman came up to me and he said, I haven't seen that violent intent on the football, I think, around here in 4 years. And now, you know what? That doesn't mean we get to take 3 days off here. That needs to uptick now. We need to turn into a pack of wild dogs. When people turn on our tape, they know you better tuck the ball and you better get down if the defense is around you.
If I can follow up, just as it relates to Tuesday's practice, it obviously maybe crossed a line there where you had to scale things back. How fine is that line between being aggressive and attacking the ball and making sure at this point in training camp you aren't making it too physical?
Yeah, as a defensive player, it's a very fine line. And it's a line that our head coach wants us to toe. But you got to be able to toe it and not cross it. And it's simple as that. When you don't got pads on, you don't take people to the ground. It's simple as that. Everything else, Dan is all good with. Everybody, Rod Wood, everybody here wants guys being aggressive, punching at the ball. I can promise you that. Brad Holmes, everybody, they're excited about it. But at the same time, we don't want collarbones, AC joints, and all that laying on the field. So it's about knowing how to practice, being a pro, and going out and perfecting your craft. Simple as that. Yeah.
Kelvin Sheppard, man, taking the reins over here in 2025. Gentlemen, I think that we need to break this down a little bit. First and foremost, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What a way to get started, man. That gets your blood just, it's moving.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Kelvin Sheppard is just high energy. And I got to tell you, for seeing our true first podium appearance by Kelvin in his new position as a defensive coach, as a defensive coordinator, I should say. And here we are in his first training camp taking on that position. I guess I want to break it down a little bit and let's kind of talk about what we took away from this. Here we go, man. I want to start with this. Kelvin just said that he sees Hutch as a better football player here in 2025 than he was last year in 2024. That's a big statement. And there's a video that I was working on last night, just ran out of time, but quite simply, it kind of highlighted that. The fact that what Dan and Brad has said, and now Kelvin has backed it up too, saying that Hutch, one, he expects more from himself, and two, the person that he has been, the player that he has been inside camp already, it hasn't been talked about, hasn't been glorified by anybody in the media or anything. It's like they haven't picked it up, they haven't spoken about it. But now I have plenty of audio clips outside of the normal sources that are telling us Aidan is actually looking good. So I guess that's the first thing that I took away from this is, can he really be better? And then he spoke about Terrion Arnold. This is a kid that we needed. I mean, a young man, I should say. He's not a kid. This is a guy that we needed to take a big step this year. I expected it. I think you guys expected it. And I'm glad that Kelvin just mentioned the same thing that I saw last year, which I think both of you saw last year. The second half of 24, Terrion Arnold really stepped into a new Terrion Arnold. He got rid of, the rookie, part of him. I mean, he's still a rookie, but you know what I'm saying? He had a lot of penalties in the beginning. I think he had 4 in the first 2 games or 3 games or whatever it was, or 8 in the first 4 games. It was crazy. But then in the last 8 games or so, man, he really stepped into playing good football.
I loved hearing about Hutch. I loved hearing about Terrion Arnold. It just gives us hope going into the season that I don't have to worry about my defensive coordinator now or about the defense as a whole at all, because Kelvin Sheppard's got it handled. The way he was talking about the way that staff was put together, and there are no secrets. There is no walking into a room and hearing someone talk about you behind your back. That's the thing that will sink a ship. And it'll do it from behind closed doors. You won't even know what's happening. So it's really nice to know that things are going the right way for the Detroit Lions on defense.
So today we're kind of talking about an end of an era with Alex Anzalone. More than likely that's the case. So I guess give me your take now on those first few things that we learned this morning. Hutch is a new player. Terrion's taking a big step. Deepest part of the room is the DB room, and Jack Campbell is the leader of this defense.
I love that he starts off with a very deliberate statement. He opens the presser. He says his piece, this is something that, he's thought about. He's given a lot of thought to. So it's very deliberate. It's very intentional. He's not looking at a reporter telling him to fix his posture like Matt Patricia did, where it's combative. He's very natural, yet looks very calm in that spot. And that's the first time I've heard him speak for an elongated time. This guy's ready. He's natural. He's ready for this position. When we talk about the DBs, we talk about the linebackers. As I was listening to it too, I'm thinking about something that you've talked a lot about, Will. Last year, with all of the injuries, right? You talked a lot about how Aaron Glenn was manufacturing blitzes, and he was having to do this with all of the different injuries that we saw on the roster. Now you had said you expect a lot of more blitzes and pressures being dialed up from the linebackers, from the defensive backs. So as I'm listening to him talk about Terrion Arnold and Aidan Hutchinson and Jack Campbell and seeing how this all fits, that's kind of what came to mind for me. Can you tell us, Will, can you kind of walk us through why that was your expectation and how you foresee the defense looking different with Sheppard as opposed maybe to what we saw with Aaron Glenn?
I know this is going to be that aha moment, right? It's really not. Just like Kelvin Sheppard said, he can have all these great ideas, but if he doesn't have the sum of the pieces and the parts, it doesn't matter, right? If he doesn't have the players to listen or grab hold of what he's trying to get out there, it doesn't matter. For me, when I'm watching Kelvin coach in the last few seasons and watching the linebackers and how they play, I didn't see a lot of linebacker blitz. And I could tell that if we just had an opportunity to get one of those linebackers into the backfield and you're firing a DB behind him to back him up, and then you're slamming 2 holes shut, right? Or hopefully they're open, you're getting through them. I felt like our defense was capable of doing that. And it just seemed like Kelvin wanted to do it, but AG wasn't allowing it, because it's like, you see it, it's there, the potential is there, it's working if you do it. We did it a few times and it worked great. Why did we go away from it? And I guess I thought that I could see that maybe Kelvin was a little frustrated with that. And so I'm like, all right, this dude's going to have his shot now. He's going to be able to do what he wants. He's a linebackers coach. He's a former linebacker. You're darn right he's going to start sending some linebackers on some blitzes. And the best way to do that is by backing it up with a DB. So it's not the aha moment. It's just, it made sense. And he's a linebacker coach now, becoming the DC. Speaking of linebackers, he also said that Alex Anzalone has been out dealing with his deal. He didn't mention injury, didn't mention anything else. Said out with his family and dealing with his deal. Did he forget that he was injured? I'm just wondering. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, and I also caught when Tim Twentyman asked him about Anzalone, and he purposely said dealing with his hamstring injury, he had to like catch himself.
The old wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hey, you might wanna,
yeah. And he was trying not to laugh, almost saying, hamstring injury. So to me, even Tim Twentyman was having a hard time saying that.
Yeah,
because they know it's fake.
I did love this though. Kelvin said that he's all about allowing the players, coaches, even the front office to have input. Riley, I mean, that's usually something you don't hear a whole lot, right? I mean, how important is it that Calvin Sheppard is just a wide open book at this point and saying, look, help me, help them. And whatever you see, tell me, because maybe we can utilize it. So what did you take away from that?
Yeah, it's just great coaching. It's smart. It's you show up with humble. There was a basketball coach I heard once that said something about you almost have to kind of give players a little bit of trust even before they earn it, so that it continues to blossom. Now, these players obviously have earned his trust. That's the benefit of having a inner, organization promotion. To me, it's clear Kelvin Sheppard has the trust of his players, and he trusts them. And so it's got to be a mutual collaboration. Hey guys, what are you seeing? What plays do you think will work well? And then try it. If it doesn't work, now they can kind of come to their own conclusions. Yeah, you kind of that's great leadership. You get their idea to be your idea. It's not hard to see why they've made him the defensive coordinator. And I love the leadership collaboration approach that he seems to be implementing.
Calvin is excited about Ahmed. What did he say about Ahmed that kind of caught your eyes?
He's not Lawrence Taylor, so,
back off, right?
Yes. Stop the expectations of making this kid into something he's not. Let him develop and let's see what he's got. Maybe he'll surprise us all. Enjoy the surprise if he surprises us. And don't jump on this kid if he's not Lawrence Taylor in his first year. That's what he's saying. Give him a break. Give him some time. He just learned English 6 years ago. He just started playing football 6 years ago. Give him a chance.
So Kelvin said explicitly that he's excited when these pads are going to come on. And I mean, straightforward, it's the guy's all motor all the time. But he does say that he has the mentality, he has the effort, he has, or is everything that these Lions are all about. Don't expect too much, as you said, as a rookie, but he has the best teacher in what Kelvin Sheppard believes is one of the best defensive line coach in Casey Rogers. I'm excited. I think that we're all excited for Ahmed. Behind the scenes, we learned a lot through Corey. And I think that there's so much to be excited about and watching his development. One, the first Egyptian player to ever do it, right? And the Lions have that opportunity. And two, I mean, the guy deserves it. He's worked his butt off. He's gone through so much adversity throughout his life that now he's made it, right? And now it's time to go to work. He's all smiles all the time. If you have never noticed, I watch a lot of the videos and a lot of the media that the PR team puts out, and the kid's all smiles all the time. But I'm super excited about him. And matter of fact, Aidan Hutchinson mentioned, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, might have been 2 days ago by now, he spoke about Ahmed, and he said that Ahmed, quote, is coming along, right? But again, back to Kelvin, he's not going to be LT in year one, but then again, he might flash like he is. Enjoy it. If you guys remember, Sean Dion Hamilton was a former linebacker for the Lions, and I didn't realize that I mean, Kelvin kind of made a funny there saying you can't get to those outside zones. Maybe you should come on this side of the sideline. That was kind of funny.
This story reminds me of Calvin Sheppard. This is the exact same arc that he took. You know, you start as an assistant coach and then you get promoted to an actual linebackers coach. You know, now you're not handling the fifth wide receiver, or the fifth tight end or something. Now you actually have a room. You're in charge of that room. And just the fact that that's how Kelvin Sheppard started out. He got to be linebackers coach. And then they put him in this position where I someday see Kelvin Sheppard being a head coach. I really do. And it takes me back to Hard Knocks when he was very first on there and he asked Dan Campbell, you know, hey, should I cut my dreads off? Should I cut my hair? And Dan's like, no, you be you. And I'm glad that he is being him. And it just makes for such a more honest, real coaching experience, and you're getting the real person. You're not getting someone that's forced. And to see that Sean Dion Hamilton can do the same thing, that's awesome, because he is not Kelvin Sheppard. He is a completely different type of person, different stature, different person altogether. So it's really neat to see that they let these guys be themselves, but two different people can take the same arc to get to where they want to go.
I'm sure Kelvin looks back at that to think, man, how far it's coming. You know what that says? That what Dan Campbell is doing and what Brad Holmes is doing with the culture and establishing it, it's working. Obviously, it's translated to wins on the field, but then to see the workings of the system, to lift up the hood, to see how the engine works, it makes sense, man, because Kelvin Sheppard's doing for the others exactly what Dan Campbell did for him, and that's how the cycle works. This team makes sense. The way that it's structured makes sense. So excited. Now they've got to go do it on the field, and I think that that's obviously what we're all here for is, you know, the opportunity to go play. But as far as how the team is set up, man, I feel good about it. I feel great about Kelvin Sheppard as the defensive coordinator for sure.
All right, last thing I want to mention about today's press conference by Kelvin Sheppard is it is Mike Tyson punch out for the defensive coordinator, man. He wants these guys getting their hands on the ball, punching it out. Everywhere you see Amik Robertson on the field, he's always swinging a Mike Tyson uppercut, man, and trying to pop that ball out. So does Alex Anzalone. Brian Branch is another one that does it constantly. Kirby Joseph, I've seen plenty of times. Again, that is another emphasis that I brought to light, you know, last season. Like, we need more of it. We need more of it. We need more of it. And you could see over the last few seasons that level of, how do I put it? That level of awareness, you know, of trying to pop the ball out, it started to increase over the years, right? It seemed like in the very beginning they weren't doing it a whole lot because those guys were focused on, I don't want to make a mistake. Like, I'm trying to learn the defense. I just need to make sure I'm lined up right, you know, in 2021. Fast forward to 2025, a lot of the guys that we have on this team now, since Brad has drafted them and 99% of them stuck around, now they can play free. They can play with their hair on fire. They know where they're supposed to be. They've got the nonverbal cues with all the players around them that they trust, and they can just they can get after it. So expect a lot of balls on the ground this year, and hopefully Lions scooping them back up. Scoop and score. Aidan Hutchinson, early prediction. Scoop and score. Aidan's going to get one. All right, that's it for Kelvin Sheppard's presser, man, on July 24th, presser review.